And so it's really important the way we choose to hold this realm too. You know, I love the word paradigm and the word realm because I feel like
I use realm more than paradigm.
Yeah, in an infinite probability machine, which is what I think it is. I think we are always quantum jumping through the infinite probabilities based on the frequency we hold and our frequency matching the probability or the realm or the paradigm that is a match to our frequency. When you're in that type of space, hey guys, let's choose to go to the one where Mother Earth gets healed, where our water is healed, the water on the earth as well as the water of our emotions. Let's walk in a medicine mind. You know, and that's why I've been called to the shamanic path, and that's why I have the honor and privilege of studying shamans, is because I do believe medicine starts here. It starts here. It doesn't, I mean, food is medicine, sure, like Hippocrates, I don't know, how do you say his name? Hippocrates.
That's probably it.
Let food be thy medicine. Yes, like I agree with that too. You know, the outer is the inner is the outer, but what if we all just started here, and just said like, everything's great, everything's healed.
What if we did? How many people would it take, do you think?
Well, I mean, studies show that they can go into Washington and take a group of meditators, I don't know the number on it, I believe it was less than 1,000, and have them meditate for a month on there being less crime and less violence,
and there was less
25% reduction.
Yeah.
Like a scientist, look at your life. What have you believed? And what, in response, have you perceived and experienced? I think it'd be very challenging to find a person that doesn't find a match there.
Yeah.
You know, so
and I thought that was really groovy. See, scientists, they
do beautiful things.
They do beautiful things.
They
may find us annoying, but we love them.
I constantly study physicists and quantum physics. They're fascinating thinkers, brilliant thinkers, and offer so much. And I love the both andness of it all. Yeah. You know, I do believe we're 7.7 billion opinion sacks. Right? I literally like to think of us as sacks of opinions. And we all think we're right. My little sack of opinions is quantifiably right. And really what you are is a sack of opinions.
Can't confirm.
You know?
I'm like, actually, Heather, I happen to mostly be right. I can't tend to be right.
Pretty much generally correct. I don't know anything, and we know everything.
Yeah.
We're so righteous in our particular opinion sack. And that's why I'm always saying, don't ask a daisy to be a rose, a dog to be a horse, and don't ask me to be you, and I won't ask you to be me. I don't ask for the world to agree with me. On any topic, pick any topic in the world. I ask myself not to get into the polarity of separation by being righteous about my opinion sack. I ask myself to recognize that diversity, just based on the study of Mother Nature, is the order of the day, all day, every day. We're never going to have a world of people in a diversity space-time delusion paradigm or whatever, or space-time reality. We're never going to have a world in which everyone agrees. Maybe what we need to drop is the idea that we're right. We simply are. I'll turn my attention and opinion sack towards love. That's the opinion sack I choose.
Yes.
If you want to turn it towards fear,
that's on you.
I'm going to turn my opinion sack over here.
Yeah.
I'm focused on love.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm creating. So, teach their own, though. You know, I'm not here to change anyone else. I'm here to change myself by recognizing and removing my blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And stepping into, like, here's a block, Heather. Here's a way you're not loving yourself. You think you're not grounded and practical. Guess what? You've had a lot of earth friends. They taught you some of that. You're getting it.
I like that you're not grounded and practical. I feel so refreshed. It's so nice to hear. And, you know, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm sort of taking an inventory, like what you said, if you take an inventory of your life and you think about, like, what was going on the inside and how it got reflected to you. There are so many, like, I think about, like, key moments and I'm like, holy shit. That's exactly, like, I didn't see it then. One door closing and another opening, and, like, the blessing of age you know, you have some distance to look back, like times when, you know, like my college experience was really difficult, and like the relationships that came my way, like, you know, were reflecting like feeling kind of pushed out of the nest and left like alone in America, kind of happened by accident. And like, then I got these things that like reflected that back to me, like, yeah, you're like abandoned over and over and over again. But, you know, I wasn't really abandoned, but I believed that, and I did manifest that. And then, like, now that I'm safe, and now that I'm, like, sort of healed from a lot of my childhood stuff, like, I feel like, whew, okay, now I'm a grown-up. Like, now I'm going to come back and, like, heed my dreams that I had when I was a little girl. Like, if I couldn't go back to, like, 9-year-old me. I feel like I peaked at, like, 9 or 10. I couldn't back in when she's, like, what have we done? I couldn't be like, we settled, and we did the same thing, and you're kind of okay. You know, like, I couldn't tell her that, you know, so it's like, now it's time to come back and be like, okay, now what's the next thing? Like, what's that stuff I wanted most? You know, you've empowered me so much. Like, you might have thought I was just, like, sitting here, like, nodding off, but I was really listening to you, because you've, like, just set me back on the path. Like, I always believed all that stuff, and then I stopped believing it because I was like, oh no, my life didn't pan out that way or whatever. But now I see, actually, when you say like go take an inventory, like it did. Your thoughts really do. Did you need that too? I needed like that refresher course.
I did. I have to remember. It's easy to argue with, because many people will be like,
we got off topic.
Well, but it is on topic.
It is on topic. You know, that we were able to like spiral out and talk about it. Like, once we got there, that's what I think like you and I needed to remember it. Anyone who watches this, like, I think that's what it comes down to, is like frequency matching.
Well, and you were talking about NDEs. I lost my parents before I was even 25, and I buried over 50 people. Not literally as an undertaker. I often bury animals and creatures. I think I'm married to Hades, right?
Hey.
I'm 43 years old. I bury more than She's Persephone.
Yeah.
I bury more than one person every year that I walk the earth and breathe. And I bury birds and lizards. I have cats. You know, I'm gonna bury all kinds of squirrels.
Yeah.
So I always say I'm married to Hades. I've been holding Hades' hand since I got here. My father drowned when I was 17 months old. My mother in a car accident before I turned 25. And which you walk hand in hand with death.
Yeah. And
for at least 40 years of it, I was like, let go of my hand, you know, trying to live here, and I don't like this lesson.
Yeah.
And now it's just, I'm like an innocent child that just came from the other side. I embrace deeper. I'm so honored to walk with Hades and walk with death as a teacher, because everything in belief comes down to, what do you believe? Are you an eternal entity? Whether you choose that eternal entity to be energy which cannot be created nor destroyed as an atheist or agnostic, whether you choose that energy to be spirit that can take up the vessel of a soul inside of the vessel of a body, whatever you choose that to be, if you truly believe in eternality, and if you truly believe that energy can't be destroyed, then you might be one of those really unique entities that came to Earth Rock and Earth School to walk in the witnessing and recognition that we are not our bodies. We are not our flesh costumes that we've zipped on, or our identifications through our zodiac, our numerology. We are characters in a play. We are projections in a hologram. That's why we have stereoscopic vision, you know? Yeah, and so it's like, that understanding is needed in this realm, because it is a great place of forgetting. And teach their own. I'm not saying my perspective or opinion sack is right.
My near-death experience, you know, we didn't have, we were, you know, made of the space between the stars. That's what it was like. We were consciousness. You could perceive a being there, but no one had a look, you know, no one, I didn't see, I don't know who was there with me. You know, that's what's frustrating. It's like, who was that? Who were you? Did you read Many Lives, Many Masters?
Yeah.
Remember when there was that little story where the guy, he had, I don't remember if it was a near-death experience, but I think it was, and he had met like a little monk, like a Tibetan monk or something, like on the other side. And then he was traveling to a foreign country. I don't remember the details now, but he was in a mosque. They visited a mosque. He was with a tour group, and everyone was praying. And he was the only one who like sat down to pray with them. He didn't know their prayer, but he just joined. And a man noticed, and afterwards came up to him and he said, "Hey, you were praying with us, and that was cool." And he like shook his hand and like looked in his eyes, and he said, "Ah, you've met the monk. I can see it in you. That's why you were able to sit and pray." And the guy was like, you know, and Many Lives, Many Masters is about ascended masters and like the universal sort of experiences, like between of reincarnation and between lifetimes, what happens, and that there are these entities who greet us. And I was greeted. I was helped. It was like, you know, like talking about babies, but it was like waking up a baby, like a little kid, like, you know, helping you wake up because you're like disoriented. It's just like waking up and you're like, what was I dreaming? And it's like, you're here now, you're back. And they even said like my name. It's like, if you could hear it in your human mind, you'd go insane. It was not like my name, but I felt like I had like some sort of identity, like a seed level, like, I don't know, cosmic identity or something. And someone was there to help me. And then I had to go help the next one who was waking up nearby. And then I woke up and, you know, I was back. But, like, I couldn't see bodies, but I wonder, who was that? Who was it? The monk? Was it, like, I don't know.
Well beyond an average experience in this realm. And you've had it.
Yeah.
And is it less valid than the experience of riding a bike? It is an experience you've had, right? Yeah. And so I always say, the reason I say be a knower is because you can vilify astrology all day and say every horoscope applies to me. But here's my question. Here's my question.
First of all, that's all Capricorns. We know it's you. And they've never had their charts done. That's like the newspaper.
I mean, for real earthy, you're not going to get that, truly. But I would say, like...
Yeah, you say the more fair, diplomatic thing. Sorry. Be fair to those people.
That's the tunas. But, like, what I would say is, okay, you think it's a crock. Here's what I would ask you. Be a scientist. Study astrology for 10 years. Do your natal birth chart reading. Do the natal birth chart reading of every person you potentially meet. Read it, study it. In 10 years, come back to me.
Yep.
After you've studied it like a scientist.
Study it properly.
Properly like a scientist. Just analytical reasoning of the data. Processing. You can calculate. You can make graphs and charts in today's day and age. Yeah. And then come back to me in 10 years and tell me your opinion. Act like Nostradamus. Get in there. Dig in on that topic. And if you want to vilify physicists, okay, study physics, study mathematics. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Anything you want to judge and critique and criticize, study it. Because if you study astrology, you understand you're not just your sun sign. You're this whole natal birth chart experience. And you're also what's not in your chart. You're all these different things. And the same with your numbers. So there's a quality of just like being a knower. Be a knower in what you talk about. Be a knower of it. And if you're going to step into judgment on anything, I invite you, for the thing that you judge, if it's a person, go break bread with them. You know, if it's nature, then go lean against a tree for a minute before you make that definitive decision that you're going to hate nature forever.
If it's an immigrant, go eat their food. The situation with Mexico right now, like there's a documentary on Netflix right now. It's, I think it's called A Tale of Two Restaurants or something, and it's like, and they really addressed like the dichotomy in American culture of like vilifying people from Mexico and then like embracing the culture. Like any culture, they can take a pig carcass. You can shoot a pig in the head. Sorry. And you can take that carcass and you come back 12 hours later with fucking carnitas wrapped in a tortilla. That's a superior nation. Like that. Adopt me. Take me in.
Bring me tacos. I love it. I'm going to do it. Let me be your child.
They're so good. Like, we could go on all day.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've been reborn.
And I feel that way with you too.
I do too. Like I don't know where you came from, Heather, but I like you, darn it. Like,
I got you.